In this video, I'm going to explain everything about ND filters, what they do, how do they affect photo and video, and which one you should buy. And if you stay to the end of the video, I'll provide you with a helpful tip that will save you some money. Some of these filters I purchased with my own money, others were sent to me by brands at some point in the past. So if you're interested in any of these filters shown in this video, I have left links in the description box down below. These are affiliate links, so if you do decide to purchase any of them, I get a small commission and it does help out the channel. So if you'd like to support the channel, please use the links down below and there is no additional cost to you. Now let's find out how ND filters affect photography. ND stands for neutral density, and essentially an ND filter is a filter that you place over your lens to block light from reaching your sensor without impacting the color in your scene. Think of it like a pair of sunglasses for your camera. Now we don't need ND filters necessarily for photos, but if we want to be a little bit more creative with our photography, then an ND filter can be very useful. For instance, this K&F ND2 to 2000, yeah, that is a huge range with that one, by the way. That's a huge we can use this creatively. So if we want to, for instance, smooth out water during the day, we need to add an ND filter so we can have a longer shutter speed. For instance, 5 seconds or longer. And that way the water can look really smooth. Maybe we're in a busy area and we want to capture the building with no people. We can use an ND filter, maybe on bulb mode, which means we can have the shutter open for as long as we want effectively, as long as we have a strong enough ND filter. So all the movement happening in that busy area will make it appear as if it's empty. Or maybe you want to do some car panning, and if we're going to use a lower shutter speed, let's say 1/25, our aperture might already be closed up completely and it's saying that we're overexposed. So this is where ND filters will come in handy, where we can open that ND filter and control our exposure when we're doing car panning photography. These are just some of the creative photos you can get when using ND filters during the day. But what about video? How does ND filters affect video? We use ND filters in video to help with correcting exposure. So for instance, shooting this video, I'm shooting at 4K 30 and therefore my shutter speed needs to be double the rate, so 1/60. For ISO, we want to try and keep this number as low as possible. Thankfully, it's a bright sunny day, so we can keep this at 100. But as you can see, after I set these settings, we're overexposed and it just doesn't look right. So this is where we need an ND filter. But which one do we choose? Do we need an ND4, 8, 16, 1/8? This is where variable NDs can come in handy. With a variable ND, we can adjust how much density or darkness by twisting the filter. And we know when to stop by checking the exposure meter on the back of the camera. Now we have a correctly exposed image. Now, if you're finding value from this video, I'd appreciate if you can give this video a like, as that will notify YouTube and then show this video to others for them to learn everything about ND filters. Also, if you're passionate about drones, photography, and everything in between, and want to join a community of like-minded people, then subscribe to the channel for future videos. Now let's dive into more ND filters that we can use. So combination NDs, what are these? For example, an ND-CPL is a neutral density filter and a circular polarizing filter at the same time. A good example of this actually is Freewell's V2 magnetic system here, which they did send me and I did try this out, and it's really handy because now if we want to cut reflections as well as control our exposure, this filter does this. It also has a decent range as well, from 3 to 7 stops of light there. So that is a big range, considering others are normally from like 3 to 5 and then you need like a 6 to 9. This is actually a decent range. You don't have to keep changing filters. The added bonus is as well that you can get add-ons as well. So I can have a mist filter on top of this, and that way I have an ND-CPL and a mist filter if you like that look. So this will be super handy again for cutting reflections off buildings, water, or even if you want to capture cars, this will be a great filter. I've already made a video on it and you can check it out up here somewhere. Now let's take a look at another example. This here is K&F's ND2-400 mist filter. Now here we can control our exposure as well as have that stylistic choice of a mist effect, essentially softening skin tones and having halation in the highlights and softening that up as well. I actually really like this filter and I use it quite a lot because I like the mist effect. Now just note, when you are looking to buy an ND filter, you can experience vignetting from some of the cheaper brands. And if you're using step-up rings, it might not actually be the filter, it could be because of the step-up rings. Also, you can experience an X in some of the filters. For instance, the K&F ND2-2000, because it has such a large range, when you're at its maximum, you do get this cross X effect. Now, when do we use these ND filters? What I'll do is I'll put on screen now a cheat sheet that you could use. You can also check out my community post and I'll put a link in the description box down below. But as a general rule of thumb, the brighter the light, the stronger the ND would be. For example, I like to go shoot at sunset, so I can assume an ND 4-16 would be a reasonable choice to make. If I'm shooting in the day, then maybe an ND 128 or more. Obviously, this depends on the weather and whether you're doing photo and video, so each shooting scenario is different. Let's take a look at a couple more filters, but this time for drones. Now we have a couple here. These ones are K&F's ND CPLs. So again, this is a neutral density circular polarizer. So if you want to cut reflections off water and buildings, these are the ones to use here. These ones were sent to me by K&F for the DJI Air 3S. Now before you're sending up your drone up, find the ND that's correct for the type of day you have. So for instance, if it's at sunset, an ND 8 or 16, and then to adjust the CPL, all you do is you put this to your eye and then you're going to twist this until you see the reflections go, and then Bob's your uncle. However, with the DJI Air 3S, we do have two focal lengths, the 24 and 70mm, and each of these have different apertures. So we have an f1.8 for the 24mm and an f2.8 for the 70mm. And this means if you're using DJI's regular NDs or K&F's NDs, the exposure is going to be unbalanced. And this is where Freewell's kit comes in, where we have split NDs. Essentially, the ND filters are different for the two focal lengths, balancing the exposure. So when we're switching between the two focal lengths on the DJI Air 3S, we don't have to keep adjusting our settings, because essentially it's 1.3 stops of light difference between the two. And these filters reflect that. Now, if you're looking to pick up your first ND filter or an additional ND filter, which one do you go for? Well, the ones I'm going to recommend is either Freewell's V2 system, because I do like the magnetic system, it makes things quick and easy, and the fact that this is a CPL as well. The other recommendation is definitely K&F's ND2-400. I think the range on this for the price is really good. I really do enjoy Polar Pros. They're on the upper market. The only issue with Polar Pros ones is that you need to have two sets of the ND filters, and that price can add up probably to, I think it was like $250 for each ND filter set, because it's like from 3 to 5 or 2 to 5 and then 6 to 9. Whereas this is one filter and it's across the range. I haven't had any vignetting issues or anything with this one. Also, because this is a mist, it has that effect that I like. And this was probably what, $150 US. So the fact it's this small and light is perfect. So these are the two I recommend for the cameras. Or if you wanted something a little bit longer, you can use K&F's ND2-2000. Just note that this does have an X when you get to its maximum. However, most of the time you probably won't be there unless you're using it for creative photography techniques. Now, if you're thinking about picking up ND filters for your drone, I'm either going to recommend K&F's ND CPLs. So if you're someone who wants to control reflections on buildings or water, these are the ones I'm going to recommend. But more recently, I've actually really enjoyed Freewell's split NDs for the DJI Air 3S, because it balances the exposure between the two focal lengths, because they're both different. Now, Freewell are really popular with NDs, and they have them for various drones from the Mini 3, Mini 4, Air 3, and even the Air 3S here. The other great thing about Freewell is that they have a premium pack as well, not just with the standard NDs, but they also have like the ND 1000 and even the mist filter as well. And if you want to check out about long exposure drone photography, you can see this video up here. Now, at the beginning of the video, I said if you stay to the end, I'll provide you with a tip that will save you some money before buying some ND filters. Now, my friend Tom gave me this tip and he saved me some money, so I want to reshare that with you guys as well. So thanks, Tom. Essentially, before buying an ND filter for all your different lenses that have all different diameters and sizes, just buy for the largest diameter lens that you have. And then for the rest of them, use a set of step-up rings. So for the smaller lenses, use these and then attach the large filter onto that. Now, most of the filters that I have are 82 millimeters. Most lenses will probably be that as well, but double check your lenses, see which is the largest one you have. And even if you're thinking about buying a lens in the future, check what size diameter that would be as well. So that way, if you do buy that lens down the road, at least your filter's gonna fit. Now, if you want to see some creative photos, check out this video with K&F Star Filter. And if you wanna learn about the LPR Mist filter for the DJI 3, check this video here. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.